have a quorum. We have a guest this morning with the Bureau of Reclamation, Derek O'Hara with the USBR.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Well, I hope you won't be too bored. You'll be mad at Bert or whoever sent you down there. We have the minutes, item 3 of the meetings, 3/12, 3/19, and 3/20. Any additions or credits, corrections? Any of them? I myself didn't catch any, but that doesn't mean there aren't. If there are none, I'd entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So,
Larry makes a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Ian's our second. All, and this is for all 3 sets. Okay?
For all 3.
Yeah, all 3, yeah. Call for a vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Marion. 3/19, 3/20.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Mr. Steps, as you can see, we are, have minimal reports for this month as well, due to the.
I did notice, I didn't have to look at them, trying to get them all out.
Yeah.
That's good.
I just want to point out, there's a correction on an interest rate on CD 36008212. The renewal of the CD went from 0.30 to 0.45. It has been corrected in the quarterly report. I also want to state, since the quarterly report has to be approved, at this time we don't have the exact checking account balance. We can probably have to come back or have it revised once we do have it completed for the month of March and revise the checking account balance for the quarterly report.
Is that the reason you had it highlighted? I was going to
Yes.
ask you about that. Okay.
It is important.
So we just need to, no action having been taken on the quarterly investment report, and we'll put it on next month's agenda to approve it. Okay.
That's a pretty good guess, right, at 1.9?
Correct. This is based upon the bank statement as of March 31st.
But you still haven't reconciled it to make sure it's correct. Okay. All right, $500 check detail.
On the first page, page 104, under Axiom Blair Engineering, I thought, are we gonna break that down a little bit more so when Al spends his time, for example,
And we
on
do,
litigation,
he has it itemized, broken down,
when he sends you the bill?
yes, and Mary's got that record.
Right, could you start put that in that when we see Al's bill there?
Yes, this invoice is just his general support or daily activities. He
Okay.
has for.
I think that's for 3 months. Was it 3 months?
Okay.
Yeah, you need to put the dates on it for 2 months or whatever the dates were.
This one actually was for January. It states that the general support for January.
Oh, this is- yeah, okay.
Yes.
So this is just the days, you know, when you're normally here working? is that right?
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
All right.
This does not include
So it's
the
not-
other services. That-
Okay.
yes.
How much is it?
It always
12,000.
No, that's not for 1 month.
That's for just a week.
That's a week, yeah.
Weekend.
Whatever, I'll pull it up.
Okay.
I use it in ours.
Okay.
We're just talking about packets for a second. Mine's on the computer, I haven't looked at it, so. I
Page
use
3
it.
of 4, GeoShack. I know we've discussed it, but refresh my memory. What we
This,
thought.
this is the antennas that Al put up 6 years ago. We have one in Fabens, one in Kaneeteo, and then we're still using the old Clint Yard antenna. And this is the last piece of equipment that Jay and Pete and Al can utilize to give levels of canals before we dig them out. We could even do some,
So it's for
Jay
the
said-
telemetry deal.
Grading.
Survey.
Yeah, it's basically surveying, and we've got, I don't know if you've seen on the freeway, the guys that have the circular to survey, and basically we can go to our monuments and set it on there, pick up a point, and then go anywhere in the district and just have an instant elevation. So that's basically to check elevation within our construction, for the stuff that we do for grading and everything, well, within the drains and canals, to make sure we're at the grade line.
and it gives us instant readings within a couple of
To
seconds.
the hundredth, it's pretty impressive.
Uh-huh.
And then with the towers, we've got the tower here in Favens, one in Central El Paso, and then the one in Isleta, and then the one in the west side of Canutillo, so the entire district is covered.
I said GPS, and GPS more of a linear stuff, and this is up and
It's
down.
vertical data, it's an actual
How do you get that?
data.
Real time.
We go and
Our
shoot
From
it.
the,
It's,
from those three tires, you triangulate or something?
no, well.
It works on
different.
GPS, it works on GPS, on
Because there's
real-time
different
data.
satellites and you get it,
Yeah, saying that this is the farmers, you get vertical.
you're like, not,
You get the vertical and the horizontal correction both. The vertical correction is bigger, it's bigger correction, but it's
Yeah,
the one at the tower is not moving, right?
Right.
Okay, so you know its elevation and you know where it is, so the signal is purposely has errors in the code because they don't want you to be launching missiles with it. That's why they do that. And so, but you know that the one in the tower, you have two of them, one that is moving around, the one that they're using, one that's not, so you can autocorrect for, and it has a cell, it transmits over the internet to a cellular frequency, oh no, you're actually using a 450, it's using a, just like you guys, for the John Deere system, you send it
Yeah.
over there, the airwaves.
But I understood even on the John Deere system, when you're talking about vertical, it's a pretty large.
No.
No.
Anymore.
So
Not if you do
anymore.
it right, I mean, if it's set up.
Have they got it within a few inches? or
Within 100th of an inch,
Vertically?
vertically. We've got brass caps, some monumentation,
I
and a
don't even
check.
know if
Three
John
hundred.
Deere again. Last time I visited with them, they explained to me that that's why we're not using it on our laser systems yet. See, we still have to use our laser.
It's called RTK and it's available.
it's crazy anyway.
It's come a long way.
Oh, but see, if you get it on a satellite, you could do it in the tree.
Well, with this system that we have,
No, you can't do it.
it goes, we've tested it over, like, we used to have problems with 5R. We couldn't go over those trees. This one goes right
Went
through.
down to check 20.
Yeah.
Is that a cell phone or is
Yes,
it?
it's cell phone.
Okay, so it's coming
Well,
over.
I'm just
So we don't
impressed
have
about
any
the
dead
vertical,
spots.
because the last I looked was,
No, we've had
Not that
vertical
long.
control for 20 years. I mean, we have equipment
Correct.
here that we've been doing vertical with.
correct, but it was a wide error.
But it was probably John Deere system.
Probably.
No,
This is,
it depends on on all sorts of stuff.
Well, then
how
the
accurate
question,
vertical is.
why are us farmers still using lasers then if we can peg into a satellite and run our buckets?
Because
You
you don't
can't.
spend us 50 or
It costs
75,000 to
money.
buy that deal of John Deere sales or something. probably.
No, that would solve our orchards, see, we have to shoot underneath.
I just wonder.
The mines are using it and all the road construction's using it, everybody else is, have been for years and years. It's a different system. You can't do it in trees, that's for sure.
we shot it at the
Because you
T216.
block the signal.
You have to have, there's multiple signals coming in.
Well, I'm talking about winter trees. If you have a satellite coming straight
If
down.
you get if you get it good enough, you need to, we're typically receiving someplace between 17 and 21 satellites at the same time.
We picked up
So
about
we're
12.
receiving them all over the place.
And
That's why it's so
so
accurate.
And
Yeah,
So,
we picked up about 12.
vertically,
middle of
you can get
trees.
within 100th of an inch, and it's that
A
accurate.
100th. We've got monuments,
Great.
brass caps, and then obviously it gives you the elevation above sea level, and then we punch in our number on the brass cap.
Right.
From there, we're in our datum, and then we went to 6 other brass caps within the area, Tornillo and Favens. And if they weren't on the money, they were 100,
Okay.
100th off.
Okay.
I mean, that was pretty impressive.
But remember, they're occupying the site for about 7 seconds, whereas if you're moving in a scraper or 60
Yeah, we
seconds,
set it for 60 seconds.
you're never occupying a site in a scraper for any amount of time.
You don't know my drivers.
Well, in theory, you're moving all the time. So, there's a big difference right there, that they're able to
Well,
sit there for
because
60
you alluded
seconds.
to the John Deere, when I went to John Deere, and I said, well, why can't I set this up? They said, you couldn't, I'd have to have a tower on my farm
Yes.
receiving the signal, and then horizontally,
That's true with the John Deere
Horizontally.
system, they're using cell phones to get back to the equipment. So their towers receiving the satellites, and then it's sending the satellite information over the internet to another computer, and then that computer's sending it out over the cell phone network
okay.
to their portable one. We can show you all the pictures. It's
Okay, well,
pretty
no,
cool.
I'm just, I didn't realize they'd gotten into
It
that.
is.
That's not what
But
I was told.
I don't think you can use it for running scrapers.
Yeah.
Because you're moving, you know, what are you moving,
They
10
do
miles
have
an
it.
hour?
They do have it, they have the
John Deere,
machine.
that system does
They've
have
got
that
it.
though, that.
They do.
Update from what we started out with, but I know in the Midwest and stuff, they put in their terraces and everything with that deal, using elevation, so
They
that's.
do use it.
Currently, Bain is the only one with GeoShack. They've got them on all their equipment, their scrapers and stuff. They're like,
Yeah, well, then,
yeah, goes up and
I would
down.
think why it wouldn't, yeah.
Well, then,
I would think it'd be like a
sounds
tenth of a
like our
foot.
lasers on the obsolete.
What those things do is, or the way the old ones did, is they'd receive a signal and they'd stay on that and then they get it every so often. So that if you run out of signal, it doesn't change until you hit, the other one, and it's, I don't know for how many seconds it stays with the same reading until it picks up another one. So, I don't know. It's all that stuff's over my head. I don't even know how to turn it on. Okay. Any other questions of the $500 check report? Comments? That missionary radio evangelism, they own that tower up there. Who is that?
I have no idea, I don't know anything to do with it.
It's a church, is it, Mary, or that owns the tower?
Must be a missionary.
Yeah.
A missionary, yes.
Yeah. And then we,
I think, is it a radio station?
Well, it must be a radio. I
Is it a
mean, it's a
radio
religious radio station. I mean, that's who owned it, and that, whose tower did that used to be?
it used to be the old, no, KRLD tower, and then they bought it.
They bought it from them, and then they're preaching over the radio at night, I guess, or days or whatever. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, let's work and show we reviewed it. Mary, already taken care of it. Okay, Mary, you get off too easy. I think you're not printing those reports on purpose. Okay, Rose, you're on. Item number 5.
I only have one report for you, and it's the 2013 El Paso Public Service Board assignments. As of the 2nd of April, we've received 574 leases, and that's $100 per lease, so we've collected $57,400 in processing fees. We've collected $18,325.89 in unpaid taxes. So, pretty good.
Tremendous is what
Yeah,
that is.
that's pretty good.
You got them off their duff and got them working. And
We're working very closely, yes.
has Lower Valley ever got the functioning on there yet?
Just the $2,500 compensation fee, not paying the dividends. And that's the only report I have for you this week.
All right, well, that's a great report. I don't know, kind, you only have to make one then.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, General Manager.
Okay. We received an allocation yesterday from the Bureau, but this, Derek just informed me that the number was a little off, so
Which direction?
we have less than 91. We have close, we have 80 instead of 91.
Yeah, there's a slight area that Alpha Mute storage within that allocation. What the one we sent yesterday was a projected allocation that we were using in our model runs. And this morning we went ahead and sent out the new allocation, which is reflective of April 1 numbers.
All right, well, it is what it is.
So it's
You
not,
agree with it?
It's not the figure
Mr.
here.
Blair?
Yeah, I've got it,
80,000.
I've adjusted it. Are we ready, are we on the manager's thing or we on
Yes.
allocation? Well, we'll wait till we get to allocation. Or how are you guys on?
Well, we've got
That's
it
the
on there.
first one on
That's the
General
first one,
Manager.
yeah.
Oh, you moved.
Yeah.
Okay. so many years. Let me get the projector up and running, let's see.
I called for Robert and Pete to come in, but I had talked to Robert, and we've been getting a lot of calls from the farmers on wanting to know what the allocation is going to be, and I told them it would be set by the board of directors today. And then we're also proposing, while Al sets up, we were proposing to you all that we open the gates on May 25th, so we can get water here on June 1st.
We need to hear the whole, deal. What else? So let's, before we talk about the opening, let's talk about the amendment part of it. Okay. The board be aware of what we're talking about. Al, does this change anything about what you said you told me yesterday?
Makes it tighter, let's talk about that. I mean, the biggest issue is estimating the number of acres. This would be agricultural land, irrigated land, not small tract, not city assignments, none of that, but agricultural land is calling for water. So last year was fairly low, right, Robert? What was that number that you think, about 35,000?
About 35, but it's
Lower than we've ever seen it. I upped it to 38, but I guess we need everybody's input because we don't know that number until it's later in the process. So what do you think it's gonna be this year, Robert?
the way it's looking right now, it's looking pretty close to the same thing. I mean, you might see a little bit more cotton ground because they're hoping to have a little bit more, but I don't think, pecans are pretty well the same. Alfalfa, I don't see no big numbers there. And cotton pretty
You
well.
can't tell until the first round of orders, can you, for sure? You're just
But
guessing.
right now, Johnny, compared to last year, return flow is almost looking identical to last year.
But the problem with that is that you have identical amount of water, basically. So there's a lot of that might have got pumped,
For sure, a lot of it did get bumped.
so that might change. I don't know, what are y'all seeing, guys? I kind of think there may be a little bit more this year. I think 38 will probably cover it.
That's 3,000 more than last year.
What do you think? What do you guys think?
Well, there's more on my end, but, or at least there's more hope on mine. There's a lot more listed up, a lot more, as Robert knows, getting irrigated. So I don't know. I would guess it'd be a little higher than last year.
Seems higher to me too.
Yeah, I'd say that, yeah. If you had 35, I'd guess, I don't know if 38 is good, maybe 38, 40.
We can go with a 38, I think, and I mean, that's a 10% increase, basically. Lacking 500 acres. That's a basic 10% increase, and we could go with that for a preliminary deal. It'll be close, don't you think? I mean, you know, so Al, because Al is going to estimate the allotment very conservatively anyway, so if it changes to 40 or whatever, I think, right, Al?
Right.
Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, well, it's at, because I had a little more water yesterday than I did today.
It evaporates in a hurry this time.
Working the other way around, no.
It's tight, so 38, it's 18 inches with 4 small tracks.
How much for a whole small tract?
Four irrigations for small,
Four?
yeah. And 1 18 inches for the ag, municipal.
We did, Al told me yesterday, was telling me this stuff, what this means more than anything, whatever our allotment is, it means that we're probably gonna have enough water to go into September. Okay, so once we start in June, if I'm saying this right, if I'm saying it wrong, correct me, but this was, we discussed yesterday. Once you start in June, from then on, you're probably gonna be able to irrigate the rest of the, through September. And the October irrigation
I
makes.
mean, what do you think, Robert? I mean, I'm estimating right now, that's
3 months.
that's
June, July.
800, that's,
I think, like Al, and I've been talking to Chewy, I think we got water there for a good 90 days.
Change your line over.
I think we got enough water, if we still stay with the budget like we did last year, we got enough water there for 90 days. My thinking is that when we put water in Unit 7 and Unit 6, and even Unit 8, a lot of people within the first month are gonna run out of water. They're gonna use their 18 inches right off the bat.
Why?
Art, Unit 7, when all those people use the water, right off the bat, they're gonna use 12 inches in the first watering.
They're not already irrigated?
They're not irrigated.
Well, what crops?
Even alfalfa, Johnny, the
Probably should take that.
first irrigation, most people are taking almost the 8 inches to the 12 inches. And especially the small,
If they haven't irrigated, yeah.
and that's what happened last year, right off the bat, Johnny, when we released water for the first 45 days, within the first 20 days, everybody was out of water.
Well, there goes the personal problem, man.
Well, you know, I'm just saying that, you know, everybody's gonna be out of water, and then after about 45 days, pretty well, a majority are gonna be out of water. I'm just saying that, to me, it'd be very safe to go with 24 right off the bat to everybody to buzz your water and make it to the 90 days, and I think we'll be okay. Or we're gonna find ourselves,
I think we better go initially with something we know for sure, and then hopefully we can raise it.
Well, I mean, 18's 2 9-inch irrigations, and if they're, you know, if 10, even on some of the heavy guys, they should, if they're good, if they just know the irrigations are tight, I mean, they should be able to try to squeak through 2 irrigations.
I didn't realize that alfalfa, the first irrigation would take that much. I don't, because the ground's hard, and if you force it through there, it goes, you may need that much, but it should go.
Can't
like
get it in,
that.
it's just, Johnny, that my experience was especially the smaller farmer, they go to their water pretty fast.
Could I say something here?
In a minute.
All right. It would sort of pertain to this.
Comment.
I'd like to hear something.
The age of 18 inch, gosh almighty, well, it doesn't matter, we
We
can.
don't have, I can't,
Yeah.
we don't have policy that allows me to do it.
No, we can't, we have to
No.
know what we've got regardless, and,
Can't you stay on with a
and then,
one-footed?
yeah, we may get a little runoff, you never know. Pretty doubtful what it looks like, but.
No, well, I mean, Derek was saying, the mistake that was made yesterday in the allocation was on, what was that, your July, end of July forecast, or?
Yeah.
So that would be about another 6 inches is what they're, we don't have it now, we've never allocated in advance, we have all sorts of legal reasons
What do
why
we
we
have
don't
now?
allocate in advance, but the recommendation is estimating, conservatively estimating that there'd be some additional water by the end of July, August.
We don't rely on conservative estimates.
We don't, and so that's why we stick at 18, and then we'll adjust lob it up.
We can adjust.
When we get it, and hopefully that will be before these people run out of water, so.
Yeah. I think we better stick with that, what we know we've got. Robert, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I don't mean to be a smartass, but you know, down in this part of the deal, we're spoiled. You know, we're working with 2 inches now, and on a lot of the farms, the smaller farms that I've seen, they're putting on a hell of a lot more than 2 inches, because you can't have a 5-acre piece and give it 2 inches that hasn't been irrigated and end up with 4 inches on the field. It just doesn't make sense. And up there, they're actually dealing with what they're really dealing with. That's my opinion. That's what I've seen, and I think that's right.
Of course, I can't speak to that because I don't know the individual situation. Some of them may have more water allotment, I don't know. How they do it, Robert tries to spread the water the best he can to everybody.
But I mean, there's nobody that irrigates 2 inches, they have to be able to have other land to get their water, I mean, you don't do 2-inch irrigation.
Well, that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
They irrigate what they've got, but they have supposedly put on 2 inches.
No, that's not how it works. Okay, you have 10 acres, you may only irrigate 2 of the 10 acres, you're able to take the water from the other 8 acres to accumulate.
No. If a guy's got 5 acres and that's all he's got, he doesn't have any water put in, and he's irrigated on his 2 inches, how does he have 6 inches on
He
there?
doesn't.
I can show you, and Robert knows it happens, and I'm, all right.
Does it happen, Robert?
It sure does, he knows it happens.
I don't,
Are people over irrigating?
they get charged for it, but what he's trying to say is, Robert, is they have 5 acres, we let them water the 5 acres, and they're out of water.
But they normally use more than the 2 acres.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yes,
the
but
2 inches.
we just get them out of the way, get their irrigation,
Yeah.
and we move forward.
And then also a problem with that too is you got people that are under 2 acres
No.
ordering this effluent water, which they're not even entitled to.
No, they gotta have over 2 acres.
Well, I can show you again where that's not being followed.
Robert, if they don't have, if they have under 2 acres, they
We'll
can't
handle
go
it the way we did last year.
All right.
With
Show 'em
water,
to-
you know, canal.
Show 'em.
I will.
Because
After we're done here.
through Cassie's orders, anybody under 2 acres.
Well, maybe we had to, because we had it under, we had it under.
I'll show you.
But
Show me.
Sharon will need to check the minutes.
Yeah, none of us recall ever making that 2 inches official. That was a target that we do, but I'm not sure. We'll check the minutes and see if we ever had a resolution, Robert, that.
No, I just, that's what, I don't know, I just heard it was 2 inches, I'm not holding you to it, I'm just going, I'm not trying
Well,
to.
no, but I mean, it is important because I think what we did, and it's like we did last year, is we talked about we might have to go to a 2 acre inch allotment if there's a lot of demand, but the demand will kind of
Yeah, I
regulate what Robert's able to do with the water, and we kind of, because it's a hip pocket judgment every day on what's available and what can be done and who needs what. And Robert's in charge of having to do that. It's a very, very difficult deal, but I don't think we had an official 2 acre inch allotment, but we will find out if you'll look in the minutes and see, okay?
2 inch, not 2 acres.
Well, 2 inches, yeah. All right, you wanna turn the lights back on, or you got something else to show?
No, that's it, so we'll stick at, and right now the recommendation is 18 inches.
What'd you do with that 79, now it's 74? Whatever.
No, there's all sorts of calculations that go on in the spreadsheet, the 74 is a different calculation.
So it's it was at 79.
79 is the amount of Rio Grande project water available for diversion. There's other water
We got the other water with the wells in them.
at the wells and
Return
and the number of days and those type of things. And we have internal efficiencies and we have some additional losses when EBID shuts down. There's all sorts of calculations, so, and contractual obligations and all that. So in the end, though, with all that in the mix, we're at 18 inches.
And you feel comfortable at 18?
Yeah, I'm all right. That's the way this is the standard procedure we've done for 75 years, for reclamation and us combined, we've done for 75 years. We only allocate what we have,
Right.
and they only allocate what they have.
On projection, because very seldom are they correct. You never know, there's too many variables. Well, I'd entertain a motion to set our initial allotment for the season at 1.8, right, or
18 inches.
18
Acre inches, right.
101.5 acre feet. Okay, and Dar makes a motion. Larry seconds, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign.
And the release date, we're looking at moving it up a week.
Well, let's talk about that, that's the next thing, that, since we, chances are, we're gonna be able to go into September like I started. I mean, right now, you know for sure that you got 3 months or a little more. So, in doing that, if we were released a week earlier, get the water down here a week earlier, my gut feeling is it's a workable deal. Now, it's up to y'all to think about it too and see if y'all agree with it.
And I'll just brief you on what our allocation meeting yesterday, EBID was hoping that we would move up to May 17th to release along with them. But as Al explained, they're worried about the hatch area. So Al explained to them, well, you can release for that area and just pay the losses, which will be minimum, and continue on with your plan. But they don't want to bring water down to Mesilla until we release.
Oh, Dean doesn't have enough water?
I guess not. But they were expecting a lot of farmers from the Hatch area to show up to their board meeting today and request a May 1 release, but they were settling on May 17th.
Why is it different up there than it is in Los Cruces?
They wanted, well, I saw, talked to Jerry Franzoy at the thing.
Oh, yeah.
He was explaining that they really want that water,
And it's-
sweet water earlier, they
Well-
did on their vegetables.
Yeah, but they were,
Because their water's worse there, because, I mean, the water in most of the stuff.
Did he show you the pictures of his onions?
Well, yeah. but-
Holy moly.
they were explaining, well, from what Dr. King explained to us is, they're wanting their water so that, for the vegetables and onions and so on, that they, right,
Salts.
that they plant early.
So their well, what I'm saying is their well water must be a lot worse than this.
It's like a tornado.
Yeah.
It's like
that
well
good?
water. It's
So
about the
because
same,
rest-
it's about the same, both ends of the project are about the same as far as well.
Once you get into to the Mesilla Valley though.
Mesilla Valley is very good, except the west side, there's a lot of spots on the.
Further north, it.
Well, I mean, on the east side of the valley is pretty bad as you get over by the Franklins, but, and as you get north towards Hatch, it gets worse. It's like
Yes.
going down into Hudspeth County. I don't know why, that's the way it's going.
Maybe it's because that rock, the valleys are divided there by,
I'd sell them,
by the rock formations there maybe.
Maybe.
Because that's what you have here in the upper valley, whenever you, just right here close to the pass, I mean, that water's 25,000 parts per million or something.
Yeah.
It all accumulates. right?
Yeah, down in Sullivan, it's pretty bad, but I didn't know the northern part was,
Yeah,
I heard they
Hatch is
had
always-
trouble getting it out of the ground.
No, Hatch has always had about the same quality we have in Torneo, for many, many years.
You started
When I was a
here,
kid, we went up there
Which places?
and, what's the name, well, Woodrow was showing, yeah, was a good friend of Harold's, and and so I got to be friends with Bill, his son, and they're showing us all those wells. Their wells are about the same as we have in Torneo.
All right.
And they were worried, EBID was also worried about Mexico, if they turned on earlier, with Mexico want water earlier, but Mexico's on board with us. They'll,
Well, how are they suggesting their 17th, and they do like Johnny said, and try to keep it up on the north side, and then do their full release with us?
yes, just use for the Hatch area on the 17th, and then when we release, they'll go ahead and release with us.
That little stretch of river is not gonna require a lot of charges. I mean, there's probably water in there. I mean,
The rocks are right there, bedrock's right there.
I mean, you can go up there and there's probably water. I don't know if it leaks out of the ground or it's
Seeps under
subterranean
the,
or what.
yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of water.
There's about 5 CFS going right now to Percha.
That's what I'm saying. I figured this probably, so it won't take to do that. Whatever it is, it'd be nice if they take it on their own.
Yeah, well, they can do whatever they want to do.
Okay, Chuy's suggesting we do May 25th, which will get your water down here about the 1st of June. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yep.
Somebody want to make that motion?
Shall do.
Okay, Endar makes the motion, second.
I'll say it.
Larry seconds, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, May 25th is going to be the date. And Robert, you think be here by the 1st, 16th?
Should be, pretty close.
All right. Okay, Chuy, what else?
And I just wanted to remind you all that we're having our first tire amnesty day this Saturday. If any of you all have any tires, we have a location up the valley in there, and then we have the full Clint yard here down there. And
This Saturday.
this Saturday, and we're going to receive tires from 7 a.m. to 12 noon, and then we're shutting it off at 12 noon. And then we'll do another one on the 26th of this month also.
26.
You can't
take tractor tires.
No, it just has to be passenger tires or pickup truck tires.
All right.
Where people might take their tires for dragging in Pittsburgh County.
They screw up all the roads down there. That's all they do.
And that's all I had.
Okay, this report on irrigation for 2014 wells and all that stuff.
We got, our wells, we've been running testing our wells where Robert was running water so that we didn't waste that water, and we had some repairs on some of the engines that we did, and I think we're ready to go. They're up to par, and we fired them all up, and no major problems with them.
All right. District engineering?
Not, anything we need to talk about the compact, we'll talk about in the executive session.
Is there anything we need to talk about?
Just give you an update of what's been going on. In terms of the litigation, the Compact County, of course, is final, and the Derek's numbers, the reclamation numbers reflect that. Well, it's not final, they didn't agree, as you guys know from being up there.
I know.
We're using reclamation's numbers, so it's just like we did for the last couple of years.
It's been longer than that, hasn't it? How long has it been since they haven't agreed?
2010?
Just 4 years.
11, 12, 13.
About 3 years.
We run 1 year behind, so, and then the third item, C, we had discussed this before, and I actually have a contract, if you guys wanna see it, I guess we can put it up on the screen, it's fairly simple.
Explain it again, because I don't recall.
Yeah, we talked about, this has to do with the, allocation, appendix C in the 2001 contract, the obligation, the way it was set up, that reclamation was to contract for this work, and then, the city of El Paso reimburses.
This is about the city well.
And so, to help make sure, the process has been delayed for over 10 years, we haven't been able to get anything done, so there's a little level of frustration, so to try to, and then you guys, when we discuss this in executive session, and now bringing it back to regular session, because there was litigation involved. The 2010 contract was a settlement to litigation, that we're gonna go ahead and be the contract administrator, and then the city's gonna reimburse us.
It's reimbursable.
It's 100% reimbursable. Okay, so this is a professional service contract for groundwater modeling, preparing a model for the Canyon Teal well field in compliance with Appendix C of.
They're gonna prepare a whole new model? Or just-
No, they'll take the old model that we used in that same,
Refine it?
and update it, and put new data in it, and refine it. There's the contract limits, what you can do to the model, so they have to do it in coordination with the language that's in the contract. And then
You already talked to them about it? Well, yeah, you have.
yeah, we have a statement of work that's very specific, that what they're supposed to do. And of course, that was their model, the University of Arizona's model that we used for the 2001 contract. So it makes
Is
sense.
Dr. Maddox did it?
Yeah, it's Dr. Maddox and a graduate student. It was the Whedon model, Whedon and Maddox model. And so Whedon's long gone, he's a graduate student, graduated 10 years ago or more. We can't seem to get rid of Dr. Maddox, he's still there, he's trying to retire about 20 times.
You don't need him to retire, he just needs to hang in there.
Well, the good thing about it is EPID really likes him, they have a lot of trust in him, and so do we, and
Everybody
the
does.
Bureau does, so it's.
Pretty unusual for everybody to trust a guy like that.
So after we get this done, then EBID at that point will let us know that they agree with it? Or
It's
Does
the
it
Canyon
still
Teal-
depend on their agreement?
this is the 2001 contract, the requirements under
2001.
that, and only that. I mean, EBID's issues under the litigation, other issues go way beyond the
Okay.
contract, and that, as we've discussed before, so.
This is just that Canyon Teal well field that was supposed to have been taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, they've complained that they
Right.
have been vocal about this not being updated like it was supposed to be, and so this will update it.
They've been getting credit for water, they just don't agree with the amounts, right?
Right.
And I guess what I'm saying is, when that study's finished, they will still have to accept the results.
They, I can't speak for EPID.
No,
I have no idea.
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, I agree with Johnny on that.
All right.
It's something that needs to be done. They understand the need for it to be done. They've requested that it be done, and we're getting it done, right?
At least we have a defensible position if we have it.
Right, okay. They have one of 3 members on the technical review committee, so, assume that if they have any complaints. I don't anticipate a huge change, even though we're updating it.
Which means
I guess they may anticipate there will be a big change, but we'll just just have to see. I just don't see how there can't be too
When
much.
are they gonna start to work if we agree to this deal now? And where's the money coming? We're gonna have to pay for it? When do we get reimbursed?
That's all that Mr. Rick Chudy talked about.
And I met with John Baloo, he's agreed to reimburse us, so all we need to do is, as soon as we get our bill from Arizona, then we can
Oh, right away?
turn it around and.
So we're not gonna have to eat the budget for a year before
No.
we get our money back?
No, no.
I know that he's got the money reserved for
Right,
it, so
for it.
so I would assume as soon as we get an invoice that we
Get paid?
Mhm.
pay it.
That's
and we
kind of
submit it.
critical under our budgetary problems,
Yeah,
right?
it should, hopefully it would be no more than 45 to 60 days on the cycle. I have no idea how often we get invoice from the University of Arizona. We may not get an invoice for the whole project. We may get one each month. They can't do it more frequently than once a month.
Well, it doesn't matter, it's whenever we pay, if we get repaid. If they wanna not send us an invoice for 25 years, that's okay too.
Right. So we'll, as soon as we get the invoice, we'll timely pay it and forward it on.
That's the only thing that I was wondering where we fit in our budget, if we're gonna get reimbursed right away.
Yes.
Invoice due.
Okay, do I hear a motion? Do we need to do anything on that contract?
Yeah, I would, if you want to approve it, if you want to see the contract, we'd be glad to put it up on the screen, but it's really a statement of work, that the professional services part of it is very simple. And I guess what you could do is approve the motion with Phil, if he has time today to review it.
No, but I'm familiar with it. I don't see any problem with it. You go ahead and approve it subject to.
His final legal review.
Okay.
So
Do I hear a motion? Hear a motion, a second? Okay, Larry second, Art made the motion that we approve the contract with the University of Arizona School of Hydrology in the amount of $60,000 to be reimbursed by the city of El Paso, with the only caveat being that legal approves it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, Pedro, you're gonna have to wake up back there and go to work. You're on.
Good morning. Well, we're winding down with our projects and trying to get ready for water. I apologize for this picture, it's a little blurry, but that check here, that's the Salitan check. That project has been completed, and in fact, Robert's got water in Salitan already as we speak. That check was done here in-house. It's a stainless steel gate and seems to be working fine. And here's the Franklin feeder, the Shot Creek project with the water not checked up. And Tornillo check 14, this has been already also, it's about 90% complete. We're just backfilling today, and we need to put in two gates, and they should be completed, but the Tornillo itself is ready for water, or has been ready for water.
Excuse me, back to the Franklin feeder.
Yes, sir.
We've designed that to keep the sand moving, right? Because that's always been a terrible
Yes.
situation. Where is it gonna be deposited now?
You turn out.
The Clinton.
Well, it's gonna go a long way to get it up there.
Here, right in the middle, I don't remember the, last month if I showed you, I believe I did, there is a sand weir here that should hold some of that water, but we did reduce the channel of the Franklin feeder to move that water more rapidly. You know,
It's gonna be
eventually,
deposited somewhere, that's
yes. Well, it's
it's a lot, I mean, that deal's always been problematic.
Yes, yes, and I think, you know, just by speeding up the flow of the water, we're just gonna, until we complete this project, it's just gonna keep moving downstream on it.
To my check, as Robert said.
Right now, a lot of it's being captured at the in front of the EADS checks.
That's correct. Yeah.
We're having to constantly do maintenance.
Yeah, clean. A lot of sand.
And I think that's a issue and a problem that we're gonna be faced with until we concrete line the whole system and,
Until the whole thing.
you know, get it to where we can, I guess, put it into a drain.
Where did that come from? We got the American canals, it just come out of that stretch of the riverside?
Most of the sediment line comes out of the four major arroyos in the Rincon area.
So because of the speed of the water in the river, even though it's 2 feet deep and 60 feet wide, or
Right.
600 feet wide, or whatever,
Well, so, and the river hasn't been cleaned in 45 years.
it doesn't
That's
drop
amazing.
out there, it just keeps going down.
Well, no, it's in sort of a, it gets to an equilibrium point where it erodes. There's a part of the Rio Grande that's 5 to 8 feet deep and about 20 feet wide. And it's only over at the, but there's a German name for it, I won't use it here because guys will think I'm speaking German to you, so it occurs, and that's where the sediment moves in that stream within the stream. But that stream won't reoccur until we start releasing 2,000 CFS water. It's pretty much gone now. And, so, it's the Rio Grande is nothing but a huge sandbar, right?
That's it.
Yeah, no, it's up the valley, it's just, I mean, I don't know how you get anything through it.
45 years of accumulation hasn't been cleaned since.
45 years.
I don't think it's been cleaned in that long.
It hasn't been cleaned in 32 years, is what they reported the other day.
That's parts of it. That's the most recent stuff's been cleaned in 32 years. And you
But
look
who's
at the
figuring?
bulk of it, it hasn't been cleaned for a
So
while.
IPWC responsible all the way.
Right. Now, IBWC is complaining about these arroyos. In fact, they're doing a study right now that they told Robert and me about, is they're studying all that debris that comes off those arroyos into the river. Because they went and cleaned all the areas that Gary Esslinger wanted addressed up in the Rincon area. And now they're cleaning the downstream of the Montoya and the river right there at Sunland Park for us. But yeah, they're in, right now doing a
What are they
study.
gonna do about the arroyo?
But that's some of those places, the water can barely get on the people.
I mean, the Rincon Arroyo has a huge drainage area. You can't, I guess you build a big dam. I think the bigger concern we have, which even he's running numerous times, is that all the SCS dams are close to capacity with sediment now, and they're gonna fail. So that's a huge issue. There's over 100 of those dams, so. The ones, sediment control dams that were built after the war, to control sediment, and they're filled with sediment, and they're gonna start washing sediment.
At the mouth of those little arroyos.
Yeah, just a little, how they're all.
Out there around Hatch, you can see them all.
Well, there's a bunch up at Hatch, and there's all the whole
All the way
valley
down.
houses. We have bigger ones out here, which is the Corps of Engineer dams. They're in pretty good shape. But, if you go look back up in the foothills of that the
Yeah.
entire valleys, they're full of, we call them SES dams, the ones they built after the war. There's hundreds of them built.
You know, we wondered that big huge dam that they built there in Las Cruces by the freeway there, and takes all that water off the Oregon and whatever. That just looks like a recipe for disaster
Yeah.
sometime to me.
I think that one's filling up pretty good
But I would
too.
imagine, and now they got all those businesses right there in front of that dam.
And I know that on the other side of that thing, aren't there homes and stuff like that?
Well, up around there, yeah, not in the floodplain, I wouldn't think, but.
Yeah, and unfortunately, right now during the drought, we have to take all that sand out. During normal years, we're able to flush out the sand to Leon Street Wasteway and Settlement Basin, and Wasteway 1 on the riverside, and Wasteway 2 on the riverside. Unfortunately, we don't have that leisure. We haven't had it here for a couple of years now.
They don't go stop up all those arroyos up there because we can use the water and we'll deal with the sand down here.
Later.
All right, Pete, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
no problem, sir. Tornado check 14, this is, like I said, 90% completed. There we are already shotcreting the 100 feet where the pipe went under the tornado, and we tied into the Malone. And here's the tie-in, we're building a manhole box here for the pipe that comes, this white one here is the one that goes under the tornado from 5R Farm. This one here is the Malone itself. What we did to eliminate 2 pipes going over the drain, we made a box here, and we're tying everything together. Let's see here. And today, we're just backfilling and doing the finishing touches on this. Tornado Canal, we continue working on trying to narrow this tornado down. A little harder now with water in there, but we did do some damage. As you can see here, how much we narrowed that tornado down. And this is at different areas of the tornillo. It's really funny how in some areas, all we got is sand, and some areas, all you got is clay. Like that picture just prior to this one, it was all just clay soil, this area here also. This is right over that new bridge for, that goes into the Port of Nature.
Have they started on that bridge down
I haven't seen any movement over on Mexico side.
there?
Yeah, they started
Our
already.
Oh, they have started on the Mexico side? Okay.
And our side's built,
Our side is just halfway, and they just, I just drove
but
by.
they started on the
Yeah,
Mexico.
the birdie started, birdie started.
San Elizario, same thing, we're trying to narrow it down some, and we're also gonna shotcrete an area here from this check up to about here, which is about maybe 50 feet. This is where we install that new heading for the San Eli Westway 1. And you can see how much we're closing that thing down. It's opened up about maybe 4 feet. Riverside drop checks. These gates here, we were getting some undermine under these, well, actually around the gates. It was going over to the side, it wasn't actually going under, but it was going over to the side. We removed all the old concrete and shotcreted the area that was affected. And there you can see, we filled up the hole with concrete and pumped it in there.
You've been busy, Pete.
I think we're good for a couple of years.
No months?
Well, I can guarantee a couple of years.
Don't go out on a limb.
Yeah, this year.
Mesa Drain at Carnes, this here was a project that was completed by the city, but we found these holes under the road.
Wow.
And this was never addressed, so we shut the road down and we requested that this pipe would be replaced. And good thing that we did.
That top one, yeah, it's not the culvert, yeah, that top one is a void. It's
Yeah,
the
the
culvert's
culvert's
below
down
there.
here.
And they wanted to run traffic above with that void and underneath the pavement.
What caused the void?
It's been
Don't know, but it was deep on both ends also. This is actually the upstream side.
That September rain, excuse me, yeah, that September rain, this drain was pretty much to the top. And that rain caused it to erode through the top of the culvert.
All the way across.
So this was kind of like a cooperation between the city of El Paso, Public Service Board, Stormwater, and ourselves. We all had little to do here. You see this blue line right here? That's an abandoned line, Jay. Just for your information, I know they replaced the line with this casing right here. There's another line in here, but they left the blue one in place. I don't know why. It's already been backfilled all the way to the pipe there. This is another city project with the expansion of Country Club. Some of our structures had to be removed and redone. They did all the concrete work, and we're going back and placing these ramp turnouts in place.